Welcome back to Raising Innovators, the show where we share practical parenting strategies to raise confident, curious, and future-ready kids. If you are a parent looking for more information about the world of early intervention, today we have a treat for you, a specialist from the ABA Alliance, and I want to welcome especially our friend Rocky Tarantello and Monica Quiñones to Raising Innovators. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Good. How are you?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this because we've seen firsthand the magic of what you do every day. Let's start. What do you guys do at the ABA Alliance?
Well, we provide ABA services for children on the spectrum with autism. That's our primary service. And then we offer support services for the families of the kids, like early intervention, speech therapy, mental health for the parents, anything we can do to really support that family and along their path, you know what I mean?
So walk us through the journey. For a parent that is just beginning in this journey, that probably they're an early educator, somebody with more experience, a professional, probably pointed out that there were certain things that should consider, maybe an SAQ test at the school. So how does the journey begin for a parent?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times that is a step that occurs. Maybe a teacher has pointed out, and so you seek that evaluation, right? And typically a parent may go to a developmental psychologist, or just, you're just going to go to your trusted medical professional. You get the evaluation. Let's say the result of that is a diagnosis of autism spectrum, right? So from there, we have gotten many cases, right, where we'll get a call and a parent is kind of saying, well, what does this mean? What do I do next? So something that's valuable for us and what we like to do is give you some upfront information and tell you that ABA typically is recommended right off the bat with a lot of medical professionals. And the reason for that is just, again, the early intervention, like you mentioned. So for us as a company, that's a need that we did see. We do offer a early intervention kind of conversation. It's a one-on-one with a family where we get more into depth about what ABA is and how we can be helpful right off the bat in that first conversation, maybe address some of the behaviors. But a lot of times that's going to be recommended. And why is because it can be very effective. What we're really trying to achieve is, where can this kiddo use the most help? Whether it's a behavioral concern that you have, whether it's communication concerns that you may have, we can really assist with that with our programs.
I have like a million questions right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Okay, going through my head. But okay, so let's begin. I've seen a couple of things from the provider side. Mm-hmm. It is hard to have a conversation with a parent. Right. What is the benefit of addressing the problem at an early on, rather than waiting to see if this is normal?
Right. And I understand it is very, it can be very a sensitive topic because essentially a lot of times what happens is if you have a student in the classroom and you're seeing that they have particular needs or accommodations that they could benefit from, then that's really what I would encourage myself to speak to the parent. And you have to speak to them in a way where it's really about the need of the child. It's always about the children first and how we can help them or assist them the most. So that's kind of the tone the conversation should be addressed with, as much as you can.
And what happens, just to add, is that, families get diagnosed and it's like shell shock. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my God, it's immediately the end of the world. And what do we do from here? And so, we had a parent express these feelings to us about a year ago, explaining how overwhelmed they were, and they were just so worried. They didn't want to do anything to hurt the child more or push them in the wrong direction or do something that was adverse to them, that was going to hurt the child, what they were going through. And they had a meeting with one of our BCBAs, our lead therapists, and they just gave them basic things and did a reference of like, hey, these are the things you do, these are don't. And it was so enlightening to the parent. They said, wow, we really walked away, felt like, okay, we can handle this. We understand what not to do, right? Because they were just so worried they didn't want to keep doing damage. And it inspired us to be like, wow, well, if this parent's going through it, there's got to be a lot more. So we, Monica put together a program for ABA 101. So when you get diagnosed, the first step is come on in, you do this ABA 101, you sit with somebody at Monica's level, who can walk you through what the process is going to be. Answer all your questions. Talk to them how it works, what success looks like, right? How long success can take, right? It's based on each child, right? But by getting them, the parents and the family out of the gate and letting them know, hey, everything's gonna be okay, right? You're not the first person. You know what I mean? There's very famous people out there that's on the spectrum there that do amazing things for the world, right?
Yeah.
So that was like a big help that we introduced last year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love the 101 program because what are the benefits of early intervention? If you are courageous, you go on this path with your child, what are the benefits of starting early this therapy?
Yeah.
The benefit is that you are able to really address whatever those concerns are right then and now, right? Because sometimes if we don't have the opportunity to understand what our kiddos are going through, then they can experience years and years and years of being misunderstood or not having the potential support that they could have had if early intervention was sought, right? So sometimes, you may have kiddos who express themselves a certain way and maybe, the classroom or peers or whatever situation they're in, they become frustrated. And of course, if you weren't understood and you go years and years and years of being in that situation, then a lot of times behaviors will kind of present themselves in a certain way. And so why not try and address those things as early as possible to really get a good understanding and to take advantage of the opportunities and the resources you could take advantage of now, rather than wait to, seek something a little bit later. Time is so important to really consider. And again, like you mentioned before, those conversations can be tough, but I think if you come forward and speak to a parent with that perspective of, there may be resources you can take advantage of now rather than later.
Yeah, and I always look at it from the parent point of view of I just want to, this can stop bad habits, right? Yeah. So if I eat cheeseburgers every day, I'm going to get fat. So let's stop it while I'm younger, right? So the earlier you get healthy habits put in place, right? For me as a parent, it's easy for me to understand, right? And I think that's the key is keeping all the technical stuff down, which the therapists do an amazing job, and just bringing it down to a very simple level that parents sometimes can understand, I think has always been the key to success with our kiddos. So
I love that in your practice, and I want to address what is ABA and the difference to that later on, but I love that you have the whole family involved in the process.
Yes. That's what our name means. Yeah. Alliance is the alliance between us, families, siblings, doctors, everybody kind of get on the same page and pushing in the same direction.
I love it. So let's go over some of your programs, okay? Why don't we talk about a little bit about the ABA and what's the difference between ABA and a regular therapy?
Yeah, so ABA is applied behavior analysis, right? That's the fancy term of it. And really what it is we are observing what our children's behaviors are. And a lot of times maybe they they kind of lead into some difficulties or challenges, or, in the lens of a classroom, maybe you have a kiddo who needs specific accommodations or maybe their communication is not occurring in a way that most people can understand. So really our goal is to take those challenging behaviors and find replacements for them that can really help the child thrive. And that's really what ABA is all about. So
I love it in play base. I love that approach.
Lots of play. The first step, that every therapist or every ABA therapist in our company will tell you is we cannot make any effective change unless we really get to know the child and pair with the child. And how do we do that? Through fun, through play, through, catering what we're doing to our children's interests. That is really
one-on-one.
important.
I love that approach.
Yeah.
So then that's one of your programs. Then the mental health part. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, mental health has been a goal of ours for a long time, and from the business side, you you don't want to get too many things going at once because you start losing track of what the main priority is, which is ABA. But, you know, we've been doing such a great job. We have such great therapists. It's all about the team. We have an amazing team. I always say they're superheroes, right? Because they're literally changing lives. They're changing the family's life. They're changing the kids. Like, there's not many places you can go to work and be like, I think I just changed this family's life today. Their child is going to eat at the dinner table. Like, those small little victories are like amazing, right? So we said, okay, what can we do for the family, right? And the therapist, you know, communicating, telling us, you know, that family can need support, mom and dad, helping them communicate more effectively, more working together and understanding what the goal is for the child. And our therapists, it really worked out because our therapists work with us as an RBT, which registered behavioral technician. And they work one-on-one with the child. We do one-on-one therapy, right? As Monica said, it's very important for them to pair, and then you build that relationship. By building that relationship with that one therapist, it produces better results over time. But she was an RBT with us. She then did our newsletter, never left, and went off to psychology. And I told her, you're going to come back and we're going to do therapy for the kids. So fast forward like 6 years later, she's now our therapist, which is great because she understands ABA, right? To have a therapist that doesn't understand that is really hard for them to understand what the parents are going through. Right. So it's been a great addition.
It's very stressful for the parents when they're going through a transition, and sometimes it is very hard to find an agreement between the different parenting styles and the community and the preconception and whatever you might come from there. So how do you support the parent role in this journey?
Well, parent training and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we do it in several different aspects. So Rocky touched on the mental health that we're offering, and that is for us, for just the adults. So it can be single, it can be the parents together, because like you said, you know, they can really benefit from that. Sometimes it's all about alignment or just addressing the day-to-day stressors that, you know, that occur. I'm not a parent, but definitely working in this field, I understand that that is very real and apparent, right? And then on the ABA side, parent training is so essential, right? So that is daily, weekly, monthly interactions with the families, whether it's going out to the store and doing a shopping trip together. It can be going to the dentist together. It can be coming into the clinic and providing one-on-one conversation and role play. It could be with the child. So there's so many ways that we interact with our families and provide that training and support.
And just the emphasize a point Monica just made, I think is kind of important, is that our therapy, like, you know, there's some therapy companies and they have their model on how they like to do therapy. Our therapy is dictated by the family and the child and what is best for the therapy. So if it's best for us to go in home because that's where they need support, we go in home. If it's best that we need to get them out of the home in a controlled environment, right, that or around other kids so they can learn social skills, stuff, then we do that. Or we go shopping, right? Like we just went with a kiddo of ours and I popped up shopping at the same time just to see how he would interact with somebody, you know, that he knew when he was shopping. So, but we go where the therapy is best. And Monica tells us that, you know, the therapist tells us that, hey, we need to do more of this, not what's better for us.
Right, real world situation.
Yes. Real world.
Yes.
That's right.
I absolutely love it. Yeah. So besides these two pillars that are incredible, what other services do you guys offer?
Okay, so we said, what are the other kids doing? You know, what other therapies are they getting done, right? They do PT and they do speech, right? So we said, okay, we can't do the PT, but we can do speech therapy. We have great ties to the speech world, and so we started offering speech therapy. Again, so now the family can drop the kid off, or we might go in home, right? Like we said, they can get their speech done, they can get their speech therapy done, and if they want to do a mental health session, they can do that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's all in one. I love it.
Convenience, right?
It's convenient. Yeah. And there's a lot of stigma around this topic. But the reality is that we've seen as providers the rise of children that needs some level of additional support in the classroom across the communities and across the country. So we've seen the rise of behavioral issues, the rise of things. What do you think is happening? Why are there so many kids that need more attention?
I mean, what I will say is a pivotal moment, I think we can all agree, is COVID and having a lot of, especially early intervention now and within the last year or so, is that age group of kiddos who kind of were born and kind of coming into those very developmental stages, but having to be at home maybe with limited socialization and things like that, right? Also, I think it depends on, I'm a millennial, and I think parenting has changed, right? Approaches have changed, perspective has changed, and it will continue to do so as it does, right? So we're not really 100% sure. There's a lot of conversation about it, a lot of different, opinions and research communities, right? But I think also it definitely highlights how much support should be embedded into kind of how we teach and how we promote learning and how we promote living skills, and the need for collaboration is just so much more now than ever, really.
Yeah, our success, and we've said this from day one, right? Our guiding stars were child first, right? And that goes from everything from the furniture to the therapy, right? Everything we do, we think about how does this affect the child, right? But our success is when they don't need us anymore. We work ourselves out of a job.
Yeah.
Right? So when they say bye-bye, it's very tough because there is a genuine bond with these children and the therapist and the company. I mean, we still talk to people today that have graduated, I don't know, 5-6 years ago and stuff. And I have some chef background in my history. And so cooking with kids, we do cooking class and stuff like that. So just staying engaged with them down the road is just like one of the great things about like being in this industry. Yeah.
And what a beautiful illustration for parents starting in the journey, because a diagnosis doesn't mean a lifetime diagnosis, right? This is something that you can overcome if you put a plan in place and you work with the experts like you guys.
Yeah. What I would say, I mean, there's just a lot of misconception about autism, right? And I think what's really important is that when we are right from that first conversation where we may be suggesting an evaluation or something, it's all about trying to come forth with positivity, understanding, and knowing, not really having all the answers up front. And I think sometimes we want to have our answers for our families and for our parents and other support staff. We want to be able to say, this is how it's going to go. We don't really know that answer, but what we can provide is some reassurance that we are going to do everything that we can to really find the need of your particular child and what is important to you, to them especially as well, and trying to get them to where they need to be to thrive. And that may not look like what we think it's going to look like, but what we can focus on is the now, and then all those wins that will happen little by little by little, but just being open, just understanding that we just got to be open to what are the possibilities of what life may look like, but always knowing that we are addressing, in a way that's going to support them.
What are some of the early signs that a parent serve as an indicator for a parent starting in the journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing I would say is you want to see what are the communication? What does that look like? I think that is so important, right? Our kiddos are expressing themselves sometimes in multiple ways. Sometimes it is with words. Sometimes it's with gestures. Sometimes it's with, the way that emotions present themselves. And I think what you really want to look like is on a day-to-day basis, is my child getting their message across in a way that I can understand? And if you don't think that they are, maybe there's some moments where frustration may come because you don't know what they're seeking, or so looking for those things. Obviously, it can be challenging, but if a teacher gets to know their parents in that way, and you have that conversation, they're going to give you a lot of information. So what I do encourage the families is to really ask questions to your educators or to the people who are with your child day to day, and just, are they socializing? Do they seek, peers at all? Or do they tend to kind of play on their own? And not to say that's a bad thing, but, we just have these markers, right? A lot of people talk about milestones, but milestones, also
blurred.
are kind of, they're a little bit blurred, right? And again,
every kid's different, right?
every kid is so
people
different.
want like a what's black and white.
Yeah,
It
it's
isn't.
not.
It's gray.
Yeah.
And every child determines what the diagnosis might be for them, right? Specifically, yes.
Yeah, so a lot of times you know, and also recognizing our kiddos, what is appropriate for their age. Sometimes there are behaviors that are very appropriate for their age, and so it can be hard. It can be hard to have this obvious answer of, oh yeah, something is going on and I need to seek that. But definitely look at communication. Are they getting their message across? Obviously, we
Eye
have
contact, right?
that could be, yes, absolutely.
We've seen kids like stepping in toes. What like
That could be, yep. Those are some known, you know, kind of signs that people have said.
Repetitiveness, right?
Sometimes
Yeah.
repetitiveness, yes,
Yeah.
repetitive play in certain areas, or maybe repetitive vocalizations, right? Could be, but I say that with, you know, a little bit of hesitancy,
Caution,
because I say it with caution, right? Because, you know, everyone is so different. And so that is, you know, you got to listen. I'm not a mom yet, but I have a lot of mommy friends, and they always say, listen to your gut. Yeah. If you feel like something, you're a little unsure, or you're feeling like something is not how it should be, or kind of you have an understanding and it's not really coming out that way, just seek a professional.
Moms know.
Yeah.
So how can people find your services?
Well, lots of ways, right? Through doctors that offer a diagnosis, the hospitals where we work with all the insurance companies. Obviously, our website, abaalliance.com. And then we have 2 locations, Winter Garden, which is on Dillard Street, right near downtown. And then we have another location downtown Orlando, which is off of Delaney Park. We have an amazing park right there. And so, yeah, it's pretty easy. We're on Facebook and Instagram under ABA Alliance.
ABA Alliance.
Yeah. The exciting thing, though, you know, we're talking about helping the parents. I want to put this in there because we're all about helping people. Is this year has been a lifelong goal of myself personally to launch a nonprofit for kids with autism. So this year we just launched Alliance for Autism.
Wow.
And very excited because, you know, we realized, especially through COVID, as Monica was saying, it was difficult times. There's a lot of families that need a little help, right? And whether it be therapy, one of the therapy services, they're just having trouble with copay. Maybe somebody lost their job and they're having a little trouble with their bills. It could be even, I need some help with food or clothes or toys. So we launched the nonprofit this year as another support mechanism for the families, and 100% of all the donations go right back into supporting the families. So we're really, really excited about that. We're looking forward to doing some great things over the next year with that. So,
well, thank you guys for everything you do for our community. It's really inspiring to meet people that are making a difference every day and changing lives and diagnosis and turning into beautiful success stories.
Well, thank you, because by having us on and having conversation like this is really great for the community. So thank you very much.
No, thank you so much. So we've had a treat today learning about ABA Alliance. And if you like this podcast, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and listen to our podcast anywhere where you prefer.